Today has been a complete disaster. So many freaking injuries. I've had disaster in my own life. We'll talk about it all. But first, let's go ahead. Let's hop into a draft. So Underdog, ton of drafts right now. Looks like some of the drafts that they dropped yesterday, the $3 buy-ins, have filled. So looking at this slate of drafts at the moment, I think we're actually going to see if we can fill a $100 buy-in real quick. There are 2 spots open in this big eliminator if anybody wants to get in with us. You know what we'll do instead as we wait for this to fill? I'm sure that we'll get in a big eliminator a little later on in this stream. Is we'll go ahead and we will hop into Best Ball Mania right now just so we can make sure that we are drafting as soon as possible for y'all. There are 7 spots open in Best Ball Mania for anybody who wants to draft with us. Just in case you don't know what Best Ball Mania is, this is the largest fantasy football tournament in the world. It's a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first, $750,000 for second. The top 20 places actually all get $100K, which is really nice because I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania a couple years back. Back then, I only got 10,000, but they changed the payout structure where now we would have gotten 100. So that would have been really nice. It is what it is. We will hopefully try to run it back right now. But Scissors, I see my guys saying, tell me how to cope as a Vikings fan. What I need you to do is tell me how to cope as a Jordan Addison drafter, where Jordan Addison is by far and away my most drafted player at the moment. It has been a wild, I got in a call with our developers of flockfantasy.com earlier today just for a meeting. They told me, yeah, we have a big problem. I took it as like, oh crap, what's going wrong with the site, blah, blah, blah. Then they went, no, Jordan Addison just got carted off. And my heart freaking sank. You have no idea how painful it was to hear that. I have Jordan Addison in 21% of my drafts. I thought he was a beautiful value going at like wide receiver 48, wide receiver 49. I was going to continuously draft him all offseason. So it's an ankle injury, not a torn ACL. Looks like Addison's not missing the season, but it is still a horrendous spot. Now, not only do you have to worry about the Jordan Addison injury, not only do you have to worry about the Jordan Addison DUI, but you also have to worry about J.J. McCarthy being out for the year. And I know that maybe, just maybe, right, you can make an argument saying, Mason, come on, man. Sam Darnold will be a better NFL quarterback early in the year than what J.J. McCarthy would have been. And I've heard that a lot, right? But I wasn't drafting. It kind of goes without being said, but I wasn't drafting Jordan Addison with the hope that Sam Darnold would be his quarterback through the entire season. I was drafting him with the hope that, well, you know what may happen here? Maybe J.J. McCarthy comes in and maybe J.J. McCarthy's good and brings a higher ceiling to this overall offense. So it's a triple whammy this offseason. Addison gets the DUI, McCarthy out for the year, and now this ankle injury. Brutal. Obviously, Addison falls a ton. We'll see exactly how far he falls in this draft. I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. But Not Oliver says, draft guide acquired. Hell yes, my guy. 2 wide receiver, 3 flex. Are we going to go Holler Chase? If it's a full PPR format where you can start up to 5 receivers, I would go Chase. That's a format you're very much incentivized to go to your RB. Brian says, with McCarthy out, where do we draft Jefferson? So if you were looking at my draft guide, I previously had Justin Jefferson ranked wide receiver 8. I am not moving Justin Jefferson at all in those rankings. I still have Jefferson ahead of A.J. Brown, still have him ahead of Gibbs, all the players that were behind him, but he's still going to be behind Amon-Ra St. Brown for me relatively easily. And in underdog drafts, I think we drop him behind Amon-Ra St. Brown now as well. Chef says, Flock, were you at the KOL concert too? Late start at, I was there as well. Who is KOL, my friend? KOL concert. Kings of Leon. Oh, was Kings of Leon in Austin? If so, I wish I would have been there, my guy. Actually, no, this is the other disaster that's hit that I'll talk to y'all about in just one second. We're going to take Davante Adams. Wasn't the biggest fan of Adams earlier in the offseason. Now that you are getting him at the 2-3 turn, now that you are getting him as a mid to late wide receiver too, I am fine with this price point. That team at the 1-2 turn goes Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid. So Brandon Ayuk still talking with the Niners. I have no idea. If Ayuk was a Niner, I'd want him here. We're going to go ahead. We will reach. Y'all know one of my favorite starts on Underdog this year is wide receiver Kyren Williams. And of course, real quick, if you don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is a best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. So I draft hundreds of teams here every year. So I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you want to join the draft with us, we're going to be streaming every single night. Underdog also has flock tournaments dropping every Monday and Thursday as well. But yeah, if you wanted to join the draft with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK will hook you up with my 2024 rankings, my 2024 draft guide, my 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, all three of which will be updated every single Sunday for you until the season starts. And Code FLOCK will also hook you up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $250, a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1 against the Jets. But you do need to be in one of these states if you do want to draft on Underdog. You can see the map on the screen right here. But yeah, this was the other disaster. Y'all know usually I stream about 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern at the latest. So we are getting ready to stream. Then all the lights in my house just go completely off. I go, oh my gosh, what happened? I go outside, flip the breaker on and off, and nothing happens. I then text the neighbor going, hey, is your power out? Apparently, a tree fell on our wire. A tree branch fell on our wire. The city of Austin had to come out, cut it off. It took forever. I got my power back about 10 minutes ago. It's been tough. And the tree in our backyard is so cut up that I don't even know if it's going to live now. So I'm a little pissed about that. But Ethan says, full BBR super flex, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a flex, second overall pick. I have Anthony Richardson as my keeper in the 6th. Should we start with an elite quarterback or the best wide receiver? So because you can start up to 4 receivers and it's a full PBR format, I wouldn't mind if you could get an elite receiver, whether that's Lamb, Tyreek, Chase, Jefferson, St. Brown. But I mean, if you could go Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, I would. Now, obviously, it's very difficult for me to say, though, without knowing the exact players being kept in your league. Not Oliver says, with the Lloyd news, how do you feel about Jacobs? Was there any more Marshawn Lloyd news today? So obviously we know Lloyd was dealing with the hamstring. Jacobs has been one of my favorite round 5 picks. Yeah, so looks like at least from what I'm seeing there's no additional news with Marshawn Lloyd. Let me search Twitter real quick. But yeah, Marshawn Lloyd, him being injured does put you in a spot where, yeah, there's no additional update. But I do think that Jacobs is one of the best round 5 picks in Underdog drafts at the moment. And at the same time, I think that he is a phenomenal round 4 pick, even in your regular redraft league. So yeah, I feel very comfortable drafting Jacobs at his price point. Okay. So let's move this over. And I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to update this little buy-in. This is a Best Ball Mania draft. We can get in a big eliminator, $100 buy-in after this if y'all would like. But let's see what's going to make it to us. We started Lamb, Adams, Kyren Williams out the gate. Travis Etienne goes. Etienne would have been the pick for us. I think we're going to go Pickens at 47 because if we look at the team after, the team after us had Josh Allen. So I was expecting that they were going to allow us to get Mahomes on the way back around in round 5. However, they have a very, very interesting start. I don't necessarily know if I agree with it. I don't mind going with 2 elite tight ends. I don't mind going with 2 elite quarterbacks. But to do so in the first 4 rounds is definitely very different than going with your first QB in round 5 and your second QB in round 7. Like going Allen, Mahomes at pick 24 and 48. It's very different than going Mahomes, Kyler. Surprised to see them do that. It will be very unique compared to the rest of the field, so I don't want to talk down on it too much. Obviously, who the hell am I to say anything? But was not expecting it. Thought we were going to get Mahomes on the way back round in round 5. Once that doesn't happen, I think we're going to take Trey McBride so we can put ourselves in a position to get Kyler Murray a little later on. But Aiden says, earliest I should draft Josh Allen in a league where we can start up to 5 receivers in a full PPR format. If you're going to be looking at a league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers and it's full PPR, quarterback is going to make up a slightly lower percentage of your starting lineup output from week to week perspective. So I probably would be looking at Josh Allen around 4 in that format, which you probably won't get him there. But that's kind of a position where I'm fine punting, where we really want to be slamming wide receivers early and often. Okay, Francisco, welcome to being a member of the flock, my friend. Happy to see you. Okay. After we go McBride, Andrews goes. So if you look at my rankings, I do have Mark Andrews ranked ahead of Trey McBride at the moment. But with that being said, it will be a little bit more of a unique combo based off the way the ADPs line up for you to have Pickens, McBride, and because we have no quarterback through the first 5 rounds, going with Andrews, that doesn't give us another potential quarterback we can target later on. Whereas going with McBride, we get the ability to go with Kyler. It's Ronick says, is Addison out for the year? Addison is not out for the year. I was very worried that he was going to be when news officially dropped. Sounds like it's an ankle. It's a no bueno situation regardless. I mean, it's one of the better case scenarios once you hear that he's out for the season. But let me go ahead and let's pull this up. Essentially, Addison can come back at the beginning of the season. You would just be a little concerned about re-injury risk and an efficiency drop at the beginning of the year. It is definitely the best case scenario compared to what I initially thought when Jordan Addison got carted off the field. Addison, I do expect to fall in drafts. We're going to see where he goes in this one. But yeah, it's not as bad as it could have been. Now, if we're looking at, say, the selection to take Kyler, now I may be an idiot. I may be wrong here. But I am assuming that the team after us that already has Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes will not draft Kyler Murray. Now, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but it's a bet I'm willing to make. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Montgomery at 71. Montgomery healthy. Kamara dealing with a little injury. Jahmyr Gibbs dealing with a little injury. So I do think we pivot Montgomery over Kamara in the rankings for now. And then we are going to get Kyler on the way back around to pair up with a Mr. Trey McBride. This team, Jackson, has Mahomes. So they go JSN and Keon Coleman. That kind of shows you how far Hollywood Brown's falling down the moment. And we will take Kyler Murray paired up with Trey McBride here. And let's see how far Addison falls. Addison probably makes it to us, I'd guess. Rated R Savior says, I got the dreaded pick 9 in a 10-team league. Should I trade a pick 4? It's a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex format. And who should I target at the 2-3 turn? Should we go wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back? If it's a 3 wide receiver, single flex, full PPR league, I definitely think that you can go ahead and go wide receiver if those are going to be the best values that fall to you. Now, if you're looking at trading to pick 4, I preferably would have pick 4 there. That way we can get Brees, that way we can get Hall, and then slam wide receiver values in the middle rounds. If not at pick 9, if any of the top 8 guys fall to you, they're auto picks. Obviously, top 8 guys are just the top 8 guys in this draft, and any draft it should be. At pick 9, with the Gibbs injury, I do think you just go ahead and take A.J. Brown, though. And then at the 2-3 turn, I think you can go ahead and take best player available because it's a league where you can start up to 4 receivers. Now, Jay Dawson says, 12-team PBR flex. And pick 10, should we stay away from Gibbs and Puka? I've been getting a lot of A.J. Brown, Kyron, Achan on ESPN. I would rather have Gibbs over Kyron. I'd rather have A.J. Brown over Puka. So if you wanted to go with A.J. Brown, Gibbs, I think that'd make a lot of sense. Caesar says, does Aaron Jones move up with the Addison news? I'm not moving Aaron Jones up at all. I understand that you can maybe make the argument, if Aaron Jones is going to see more dump-offs, if the average air yards per pass attempt in this offense comes down just a bit, maybe that benefits Aaron Jones. But you could also make an argument maybe Aaron Jones sees more stacked boxes. So I think the offense, at least I'm projecting the offense to be worse. With no McCarthy and with the banged up Addison, I don't think I'm moving up Jones. Sir Yeti says Rashee Rice or Chris Godwin this year. Obviously, if Rice is not suspended, it's Rashee Rice. If Rice is suspended, depends on how many games. I think you're probably going to go ahead and take Rashee Rice, especially just in a regular redraft format where we are chasing upside. Now, Ryan says 12-team at PBR double flex ESPN. If I take CMC at the 101, then should I take Laporta wide receiver, or do I commit to 2 wide receivers at the 2-3 turn, or what would you do at the 101? So double flex league, you'd have some flexibility. I think CMC at pick 1 is still my selection. Obviously, it's very scary and does have a lot of risk, but also the highest ceiling you're going to find in fantasy football. And then if it's a double flex happy BR format, I really do just want to stand by taking the best available there at the 2-3 turn. I don't necessarily think you can exploit the format. I'd be a little less excited for Laporta into double flex league. Okay. Mostert off the board at 92. Let's figure out what we are going to do here at 95. So Jordan Love, more likely than not, will not be in play for us here. If we were going to go a quarterback, obviously Dak appears to be the guy that we would want to go with. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take Jonathan Brooks at pick 95. It's a $25 buy-in where points really matter most in weeks 15, 16, 17, and we're trying to win $1.5 million. So I know Brooks won't give us anything at the beginning of the year, but we are going to try to chase the outcome where he just crushes the final 3 weeks. And then on the way back around, I think we can go ahead and take Dak Prescott to pair with a Mr. CD Lamb. Okay. Joshua Palmer off the board at 96. This is the team that has Josh Allen, Mahomes. Allen stacked with Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, and Mahomes stacked with Rashee Rice. That team goes Jaden Daniels, so they take their 3rd quarterback there. So this means quarterbacks are going to fly off the board in this draft. So I think we go ahead. I think we take Dak Prescott relatively easily. I think we go with 2 very respectable quarterbacks, put ourselves in a spot that we don't need to take another quarterback later on. Because once you see one team take Mahomes and Allen, I think that you are going to have a lot of QBs going soon. And of course, if someone is copying and pasting the live chat and just copying and pasting their question over and over again, please just, if somebody's a moderator, hit put user in timeout and I'll mute them for 5 minutes. And if you are in the chat, there are very few rules that we have. 1, do not copy and paste your question over and over again. That annoys everybody, and I'm going to deliberately ignore it because it's annoying. 2, do not talk politics. This is a very important rule for this year because there's the election. The internet's a very large place. I promise you, there'll be a bunch of other places people want to talk politics. This is not one of them. We want to talk about fantasy football, what I eat for dinner, how good looking I am, how many girlfriends I have. And the last thing is, I don't know what our other rule is. If somebody remembers our 3rd rule, you are more than welcome to share it in. But those are the first 2 are the big 2. Okay, so after we take Dak, you have Love pick 100, Caleb 104, Purdy 105. Obviously, I'm selfishly, once we have Kyler and Dak, hoping to see more quarterbacks off the board. And we are only sitting here at wide receiver with Lamb, Adams, Pickens. So it would be preferable if we get a couple wide receiver values falling to us. Okay. The good fellow says, low ankle sprain with Addison. He'll be fine. Yes, we are sending up prayers. Here, if you're looking at this draft, Addison goes to pick 91, which is pretty much where he was going before. He goes after Shakir, Curtis Samuel. So I'll probably continue to draft him here, to be honest. Okay. Now, Cheeky Opson says, how many girlfriends do you have now? Asking for your girlfriend. It's hard to keep track of, my friend. I think my head girlfriend and I tried to sit down and count up the roster earlier today. 6 locked in, 2 on the bubble, and I think we cut 2 earlier. So a lot of moving parts, my friend. But Antony says 12-team PPR Superflex, 5-point passing touchdown. I don't think my league mates are going to take a quarterback early. Should I take 2 quarterbacks early? Kind of depends. If it's a league where you have multiple flexes on top of the super flex, where wide receiver depth is going to matter a ton, then at that point, I'd probably stay a little more flexible, maybe grab 1 elite quarterback, and then maybe be a little more balanced with the rest of your league and instead look for some other positional values. If it's a league where we're going to start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, where depth of the other position is going to be super easy to come by, go ahead and take 2 elite quarterbacks. Go do what the team at 1 did in this draft. Take Mahomes, take Allen, and go Jaden Daniels later. Now, Trevor Lawrence off the board, 115. So QBs are flying. Thank you, thank you. And here we are more likely than not going to want another wide receiver. We are only sitting with 3 at the moment. We're done drafting quarterback. Brandon Cooks goes 117, and Brandon Cooks was probably going to be our guy considering the fact that we had Dak Prescott. So let's see what's happening here. This JJ team has Tyreek. So obviously they're eyeing in Tua. If they're looking at the teams after them, they'd assume, yeah, this guy's Kyler Dak. He's not taking a quarterback. This guy is Allen Mahomes. Daniels, he's not taking a quarterback. So they accurately determined to go ahead and pass on Tua. I am actually going to take Devin Singletary as our RB4 here. Before we have our 4th wide receiver, I know that looks a little bit weird, but I think Singletary, especially with the injury to Tracy, is a great value at this point. And on the way back around, we're pretty much locked up to get a wide receiver in either Dontavian Wicks or Jacoby Myers. I'm very confident that we are going to get one of those receivers. Jacoby Myers off the board at 120. I think we are getting Wicks at 122. We'll see. They go Wicks, so never mind. I guess we're getting Jerry Jeudy. That team at 1. They're the wild card of this draft. Most drafts on Underdog will have a wild card. It's entertaining when you're in one with them. They give you some opportunities, so I'm not going to complain about it. They throw us off our plan. That's for sure. But we will go ahead and we'll take Jeudy at 122. Now, Juan says full BBR, double flex, double running back. We have Dak Swift, Brian Robinson, Chase Adams, Andrews, Debo Worthy, JSN. I like it specifically because you can start up to 4 wide receivers. If it was a single flex league, at that point, I think you would have to sell one of the receivers like JSN and a package deal with either Brian Robinson or Swift to go get an upgrade at running back. But because we can get 4 receivers in the starting lineup every week, I think it's solid. Now, James says, 3rd year in fantasy football, and last year you helped me win 2 leagues. Hell yes, my guy. My wife no longer thinks fantasy football is a waste of time thanks to winnings. Or she doesn't mind you putting this eye candy on around the house. Either one, my guy. She doesn't mind listening to this smooth, silky voice live stream every single night. She goes, oh, yeah, I can get by. After she watched one of these streams, she's like, oh, I can get into fantasy football. Fantasy football is not too bad. But congrats, my guy, and wishing you the best of luck this year again. Okay. But we are sitting here with 4 running backs. So, I mean, this is a spot where we may be in trouble. We may need some wide receiver value falling to us because we can only go with 1 more RB. We can't take another quarterback. So we're really leaning into wide receiver going forward. But let's see. Travis says 12 team, 12 pick, non-PPR ESPN league. Should we go running back, or running back, wide receiver? Non-PPR, if you look at the video where we were talking about exploiting league mates, we posted it last week. You can see the charts in how much of an impact the transition from PPR to non-PPR is. And I would highly recommend just slamming running backs in the middle rounds and also getting an elite level quarterback if possible. Now, of course, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. If we hit 300 likes on this live stream, we will fire up another draft after this one. And the next draft we do could be a $100 draft. We'll definitely enter in the $100 draft, see how many people we need to fill it. But I bet we could fill it. At least we were able to yesterday. Okay. Now, let's go. Nick Chubb off the board at 138. Oh, we are in trouble. Trouble. Like I said, we can't take another quarterback. That's out the window. If we were to take a running back, then at that point we have to get rid of the rest of them. Let's see what we can do. Riley Cantred, don't you dare. Don't you freaking dare. I actually have my eyes on a single player. That was Pat Frymuth. Frymuth goes off 140. Frymuth would have been exciting. Would have allowed us to only have to draft 2 tight ends. We'd have had Frymuth paired up with Pickens. Maybe making one consolidated bet that the Steelers' passing offense is better than people expect. What's the report on Sharp? Dealing with tightness. That makes 2 of us. All right. So the team after us, like I said, they're the wild card. I can't look at their team and assume I know what's going to happen. As it's a team that had Allen and Mahomes, and they took Jane Daniels. Jahan Dotson goes. Actually, I can't take Trey Benson. The reason being is if you look at Benson, if you look at Jonathan Brooks, they're the same profile. They're guys that have late season upside, but not going to give you anything early in the year. I'm completely fine having one of those players on a roster. To have both of them is probably just a no-go. So we will take Austin Eckler here instead as our running back 5. Trey Benson goes 144. I love the value with Trey Benson 144. I probably would prefer Benson 144 than Jonathan Brooks 95. If I knew Benson would have fallen this far, I wouldn't have taken Jonathan Brooks. Okay. Chandler goes, doesn't really impact us. If we go Hawkinson, I'm probably drafting a 3rd tight end. So I probably want to take 3 tight ends regardless. Let's go ahead and let's take a rookie wide receiver. I found myself drafting a lot of Xavier Legette as of late in rounds 13 and 14. For looking at Legette, it's kind of a wide open depth chart. He gets round 1 NFL draft capital. While yes, it's a bad offense, we already took Jonathan Brooks, so we're already kind of hoping the offense is better than people expect. So we'll take Legette. Wide receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, Jerry Jeudy, Xavier Legette. Quarterback, we have Kyler paired up with Trey McBride. We have Dak Prescott paired up with CeeDee Lamb. And running back, we have Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Devin Singletary, and Austin Eckler. Okay. Augustus says, rumor, Vikings are interested in trading for Derek Carr. The Vikings traded for Derek Carr, that'd be very interesting. Obviously, we make jokes about Derek Carr being the check-down princess, and Derek Carr is not a good NFL quarterback, but neither is Sam Darnold. Derek Carr is probably better than Sam Darnold. Okay. Adrian says, who do you think is offensive rookie of the year? We need some hot takes. Okay. Obviously, the favorites for... Let's look at the exact odds of offensive rookie of the year. I can say who I think. I could say who I think is the favorite, but of course, I'm an idiot. So Caleb's plus 145. Jaden Daniels is 6-1. Marvin Harrison is 8-1. Malik Neighbors is 13-1. Bo Nix is 15-1. Outside of that, Worthy 22-1. Ladd 30-1. Keon 30-1. Drake May 35-1. Bowers 50-1. If I was looking for best odds, Drake May 35-1 does seem really solid. If I'm just looking for best odds, Drake May 35-1. If I'm looking at most likely, it's boring, but probably Caleb. Okay. Let's move this over. I can't believe how... And sportsbooks are also projecting out the Patriots to be the worst offense in the NFL. Can't believe how bad people are just automatically assuming Drake May is going to be. We'll take Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas, perfect example of someone in your regular redraft league. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really have the upside to make a difference. But here in this underdog draft, we take him a wide receiver 74. If he's the wide receiver 30, it's a really big deal. After we take Douglas, do we just go ahead and take Jalen McMillan? I know y'all are going to laugh at me. I think the best wide receiver on the board is Quentin Johnston, but we'll act like I didn't say that. We'll go ahead. We'll take Cade Otton. Cade Otton, one of the least efficient tight ends in the entire NFL last year, really over the past 2 years, has looked horrible. But it's a pretty safe role to project him out to have this season. And at the same time, I don't know. I mean, he was extremely young. Typically, tight ends aren't going to produce when they are young. These guys need a little extra time. So, we'll see. Duke says, just bought a signed Troy Franklin jersey. Dear God, my guy. I actually have at my house a KJ Hamler jersey from way back in the day someone sent me. Think Party Till She's Hot sent me a KJ Hamler jersey that I'm rolling with still. But wouldn't be surprised if Troy Franklin is the next KJ Hamler. Not going to say that's a guarantee by any means. For the love of God, don't scream at me. But to be fair, one was drafted round 2, one was drafted round 4. So it's not the craziest thing to say. Okay. Let's move this over. Seeing running backs, quarterbacks off the board, great for us because we are just going to go with 2 more wide receivers and a tight end. And of course, real quick, if we hit 300 likes on the stream, we are going to fire up another draft after this one. So if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop that like, and we will get in a $100 draft after this. Post says, why are we up at midnight, Mason? Lost power. Tree branch fell on a power line right behind my house, like kind of catty corner with my house and the neighbors, and did not have power for the past 6 hours. And I told you I was going to stream every day. So here we are, my friend. Here we are. Okay. So looks like we are at 300 likes. So we are going to fire up another one after this. And we will get in the $100 draft after this one. Okay, let's move this over. Drake May going before Geno Smith here. Let's move. Okay, so we were wide receiver, tight ends. Tight end, we don't want a week 11 bye for sure. Outside of that, nothing really matters. Gino goes. Yeah, honestly, I'm not really dying for any of these players to fall to us. You'll know I'm not a big Isaiah Likely guy. Full transparency, if he falls to us, I'll probably take him just because looking at the ADP value that we're going to get, he's not going to fall this far in too many drafts. Bo Nix goes 187. Derek Carr. I'm surprised Jonnu's ADP hasn't fallen more. I mean, obviously, Greg Dortch is also in play. He's had a bunch of positive buzz coming out of Arizona. We have Kyler Murray as well. I think there's a better shot we get Greg Dortch on the way back around than Isaiah Likely. So we're going to get greedy. And we already have McBride stacked up with Kyler, right? So getting this secondary stack's not going to be the end of the world for us. And the team after us only has one tight ends. So I think they would take Isaiah Likely if we passed on him. So we'll go Likely here. We'll probably take Greg Dortch at 194. And then we will take another wide receiver in round 18, whoever that may be. Okay. And I am entering in the $100 big eliminator right now. So if you wanted to draft with me, I'm going to count down from 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am in the big eliminator if anybody wanted to draft with me. Okay. And we are on the clock. We are going to get Greg Dortch, as we already said. And then afterwards, we're going to be queuing up one more wide receiver, Hyatt, Whittington. So we're just looking for some of these guys that may be unique picks compared to the rest of the field, guys that weren't getting drafted all offseason. And then we'll also take the obvious players if they were to fall, which I'm fine with. But I'd probably prefer getting Hyatt here. And then let's just make sure we get a couple more names on this list, just in case. Okay. And let's move this over and see if we are able to fill the big eliminator. One second, just trying to see how many spots are left. There are 3 spots left in the big eliminator if you were wanting to draft with us. That is the $100 buy-in. Different format, which we can go ahead and we can discuss just for 1 second here, just in case you are unfamiliar. But this is not like a typical underdog tournament where it is a... Here. It is a weeks 1 through 14 regular season, weeks 15, 16, 17, massive fantasy football playoff tournament, and you're really trying to optimize to have the final 3 weeks as your highest scoring weeks. Here it's just every week in your league, the bottom scoring teams, whether that's 2, whether that's 1, depends on the week, get eliminated and are no longer in the tournament. So in our 12-team league here, if I have a garbage week 1, I may be bounced and I never get to play another week. So it doesn't matter how good of a team I drafted for the second half of the season if I'm not able to make it there. But it looks like we may not be able to fill this. Like I said, we are going to get another draft going regardless, whether it's this or Best Ball Mania. So if you want to see the big eliminator, hop in. There are 2 spots open. And if not, we can switch to Best Ball Mania. But Garrett says, in a triple flex, happy BR, but PPR for tight end to pick 7. Thoughts on what round to prioritize tight end? Scary with the fall off at receiver this year, especially if I take a running back round 1. So triple flex, definitely wide receiver will be viable for us here. If you wanted to slam these guys and not necessarily look at running back. Pick 7, I would go RB if you were going to get, say, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, but I'm not going to be forcing Jahmyr Gibbs there. I think if you wanted to go with an anchor wide receiver and then around 3, look for an elite tight end, whether that's Laporta, whether that's Kelsey, I would, but I'm probably not going to be pushing up the elite tight ends to rounds 1. But we get pick 10 here. Little bit frustrating, especially with the Gibbs injury, especially with the Puka injury. So it is what it is. But Finn, always happy to see us, says, the Iron Man himself, I drafted the 11th spot in a 12-team regular full PPR. Single flex, 2 wide receiver. So here, wide receiver depth doesn't really matter much. But we have Kyler, Gibbs, JT, DK, Smith, McBride, Keenan with Mostert, Thomas on the bench. What are your thoughts? Okay, so just looking at this. We have the top end quarterback stacked with the tight ends. We have 2 running backs with RB1 upside. We have enough wide receiver depth to get by. So this is a team that we got the running backs out the gate. We grabbed a respectable quarterback, a respectable tight end, where we're exploiting the format where we only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Love the team, my guy. This is the exact way you exploit that format. But let's see. Neil in here at pick 4 with us. Nick out here with us at pick 3. Colby in here with us at pick 11. Happy to go up against y'all. Thank you for joining us. Now, CMC, Lamb, Tyreek, all off the board. Blake says 14-team PPR, Purdy, Achane, Swift, Jefferson, Debo, Pitts, Pickens, Tua, Moss, Gabe Davis, Downs, Wicks. Am I cooked? 14-team league. Obviously, it's going to not look as good as a 10-team, 12-team. Is Purdy a top 14 running back? Yes. Is Achane a top 14 running back? I'm sorry, Purdy top 14 quarterback? Yes. Achane's a top 14 running back. Swift's top 20 running back. Jefferson and Debo are both potentially top 14 receivers. Pitt's top 14 tight end. I think we have a great team, my friend. The only thing is we probably don't have enough running back depth down there on the bench, maybe a little too heavy at wide receiver. So I'd love to pivot to a little more running back depth on the bench in particular. But Troy in this draft with us at pick 9. Stacy in this draft with us at pick 6. Let's freaking go. Let's go. Okay. Trav Snow in here at 8. Post is excited to see your video with Josh and Hayden later this week. Hell yes, my guy. I'm excited to record that tomorrow. And how did you know that was happening? I didn't make the announcement. How did you know we were getting out of video, my guy? Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Garrett Wilson here at pick 10. A little bit of a hesitation you could potentially have with taking Garrett Wilson in the eliminator is he does have the week 12 bye, and this is going to be a very common bye week. And because we can't afford to have the worst week out of anybody in this league, any week, stacking up bye weeks is not something we want to do, and we want to actively avoid it in this format. So, starting off early, not the most exciting thing with the week 12 bye. Okay. So Taylor goes 14. So the report on Jahmyr Gibbs today was Gibbs expected to be ready for week 1. Obviously, you do have some natural risk here with Jahmyr Gibbs. Based on the hamstring injury, based off the risk of re-injuring with him not practicing at the moment, I do think you should be getting a slight discount if you were going to draft him. Now, even in your regular redraft league, I for sure take A.J. Brown ahead of him. But to take Gibbs here at 15, have a balanced start in this format, I think does make a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and let's take Gibbs. And this is a $100 draft, and I'm originally green. Says week 14 bye is a killer. Yeah, week 14 and week 12 are the big bye weeks here. Okay. Now, Waddle goes 16. Nico goes 17. And, yeah, this is one of my favorite tournaments on Underdog. I wish it was more than like a 5 max entry or whatever it was so we could do a bunch of these. But, yeah, we were only going to get to do a few of them. But, of course, if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, if you're new to Underdog, I definitely would not recommend you getting in a $100 draft. I definitely recommend you doing like a $3 one. But, yeah, they're a ton of fun. They're best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I draft hundreds of teams every year. So I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And, of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, that link's in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. You'll get my 2024 rankings, 2024 draft guide, and 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, all 3 of which will be updated every Sunday for you until the season starts. It will get sent to the email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with. Plus, with code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. You'll get a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard as well. So, yeah, make sure you take advantage of that. I will say you need to be in one of these states, though, if you want to draft on Underdog. But you can see the map there. Available pretty much everywhere. California, Texas, Florida, New York. It's pretty much everywhere. Cali Kid says, full BBR 10-team redraft league. Mahomes, Zamir, Connor, Puka, Harrison, Laporta, Evans, Javonte, Zeke, JSN, Chase Brown. Thomas, what are your thoughts? So looking at wide receiver, I mean, we are sitting here with a considerable amount of depth, but we have depth at running back. I really like the team because we've grabbed the elite quarterback, we've grabbed the elite tight end, and down there at wide receiver and running back on the bench, we are shooting for upside with guys like JSN and Chase Brown. So I think it makes a ton of sense. Alex says, man, you stay. Now, I've been telling everybody this, but y'all know how last year I was able to say, oh yeah, I won 150,000 last year on Underdog. This year I'm having to say I won 150,000 2 years ago. I better freaking win a tournament again this year. Because I'm not able, next year I'll promise you this. I'm not going to say it in every single video. I can't say I won 150,000 3 years ago on Underdog. I can't do it. So we are praying that I take down a tournament this year. If I win Best Ball Mania, I win 1.5 million. I promise you will never hear the end of it. But yes, I need to win a tournament this year again because I can't keep victory lapping 2022 when we're in 2025. So, yeah. Hopefully we take down a tournament because it's getting a little shaky. We're stretching this win as far as we can. Okay. Coach, happy to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. But we are going to be back up on the clock, pick 34. So this is the range where you have a bunch of week 14 bye players. You actually have some of these guys falling in drafts just because people typically are wanting to avoid the week 14 bye. And the eliminator, that is, of course. Like I said, this is the tournament where the lowest scoring teams every week get knocked. So if you have a bunch of players on a common bye week, then GG. Derrick Henry goes 31. Pacheco 32. Tank Dell off the board. We'll take Stephon Diggs. Diggs has the week 14 bye, but we don't have a week 14 guy yet. On the way back around, this will make us a little less likely to take Michael Pittman Jr. and Zay Flowers, however. Alex, I know you weren't being mean by saying that. Like, I know it's absolutely ridiculous that I say 150,000 in every single video. Trust me. I get that it's annoying. I'd be very annoyed if I were y'all as well. That's why I'm saying I know I can't do it next year. That's why I'm hoping well, one of many reasons I would love to win another tournament on Underdog, but it's already obnoxious that I do it now. And if I'm doing it next year, it will be so obnoxious I want to be able to look myself in the mirror. But Janky Stinky says 12-team touchdown-only league. Drafted the 101. Where do you lean? Elite quarterbacks go fast. Much love in watching since 21. Much love, my friend. I would love to try to help you. But the honest truth is I've never played in a touchdown-only league. I know back in like the 90s, that was like how everybody played fantasy football, or maybe even a little earlier than that. But we're going to take Amari Cooper. Like I said, we don't want to be stacking too many of these week 14 buys on themselves. Amari gives us a week 10 bye. We stay balanced in the first 4 rounds, so I think it accomplishes a couple goals. But my inclination would be in a touchdown-only format. Obviously, we're going to be pushing up the quarterbacks. We're going to be pushing up the running backs. I would almost treat it like a non-PPR format where QBs are at a premium, running backs are at a premium, wide receivers are devalued a bit, especially depth options. But I've never played in a touchdown-only league, so I'm just kind of guessing here, my friend. Okay. Now, after we take Amari, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts go. So my initial reaction is in this tournament, that's the eliminator. I'm a little more willing to lean on like 3 QBs. So I'm a little less likely to go ahead and take the elite quarterbacks, whereas I would in Best Ball Mania. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Pickens goes 43. McBride off 44. So the elite tight ends are still going in a very respectable range. Zmod says, Mason, do you have a video covering your 150,000 win, like team build, etc.? So I actually didn't win 150,000 in one tournament. I won 100,000 in one tournament. I won the big dog for 100,000. I won the bulldog 2 for 20,000. I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania for 10,000. And then I had other miscellaneous wins adding up to 150. I covered the team that we won the 100,000 with in a video last year. It's probably titled something like I won 150,000. I won 100,000 with this team, something like that. And then I covered the team that I won the 20,000 with. What's crazy is I drafted the team that won the 100,000, and the team that won the 20,000, it was a slow draft. So I didn't get to do it live. I mean, I didn't draft it. I streamed it. It was on the channel, but the 20,000 one, I drafted it in like a slow draft, but I made a video cause I was in Alaska while I did it. I was on a cruise, but as soon as I got home, I made a video covering the team and why I liked it. So you can actually see like the content of the teams before the season even started. Okay. Now, Anthony Richardson goes at 47, which is very interesting. Richardson has a week 14 bye as well. I'd make an argument based off. Dear God, that's very interesting to see Richardson go at 47 paired up with Jacobs. I guess it will be pretty unique. Finn says, appreciate the input. Could not agree more with the Brees over Bijan take. I have a lot of buddies who are sold on London, but I just can't buy in. With his age, Kirk is a question mark. Let me know what y'all think about this, but is there any concern in Kirk Cousins this year based off the Michael Penix selection? Like, is there a world where they sign Kirk Cousins to a mega deal? They saw Cousins with the torn Achilles and him being 36 and then went, you know what? The rehab's not going the way we want. Maybe he's not the guy that we thought he was. Should we just go ahead and take Michael Penix inside the top 10 picks? I'm not saying that's the case, and obviously nobody really at this point is saying that happens. We're all just kind of assuming that Atlanta's stupid, and that's why they did it. But is there any probability of like the Michael Penix selection being signal that we should be worried about Cousins? Okay, so nope, no worlds, absolutely not. Nope, partially, but it was bonehead nonetheless. No, okay, so that's what I figured, but like I said, I don't freaking know. I'm an idiot. Okay, so coming back around, we're going to take Terry McLaurin at 58. I think McLaurin's an easy pick here. Obviously, it's another week 14 bye. But based off the way the ADPs line up, I think that there are going to be very few teams that get Terry McLaurin on this side of the draft board. And then I know who we want on the way back around. It's a question on if we're going to get him or not. Keenan Allen goes 59. Keenan week 7 bye. Obviously, that is one of the more favorable buys for this tournament. Rachaad White was going to be the guy that I was looking at 63. I was hoping we were going to get White. I don't know if Mixon's would play for us with us already having 2 week 14 buys. This is the concern taking the popular bye weeks, right? You kind of scratch some of these guys off your board. Xavier Worthy is a player that I take a considerable amount in Best Ball Mania. Here, it may be a little less exciting, just given the fact that the rookies with upside at the end of the year don't matter as much. So I think we'll go ahead. We will take Chris Godwin with a unique week 11 bye and put ourselves in a position where we can afford to go running back at the 7-8 turn. But we're going with the hero RB builds. We are really relying on Gibbs to hold the fort down for us. So we'll see if it happens. Kush says redraft 12 team, 2 receiver, 1 flex. We have the elite quarterback with Allen, which is 100% what I want in this format. Kenneth Walker, Ramadre, Jefferson, Harrison, Ingram, Coleman, Deontay, Tajee, Jacoby Myers, Marshawn Lloyd, Josh Downs. So we go Jefferson round 1, Harrison round 2, Allen round 3. I'm assuming Walker round 4, Ramadre round 5. I don't love the running backs at that price point. Like I probably would have preferred going RB in round 2 over Harrison. But as it stands now, I think it's a really good squad. But when we have the elite receivers at the top, I probably do prefer seeing if we could roster another running back on the bench rather than the depth options at receiver. Okay. So I know, like, obviously Drake London is a very... Ooh, I just came up with a really good video. At this time of year, I'm kind of struggling for video ideas, but ooh, I got to write this down. I'm sorry. Here's a video. I will dive into Drake London. Okay. But I know, like, Drake London's a very heated topic, and it makes a ton of sense. Drake London's a wide receiver that for 2 straight years now has been like a wide receiver 4 in fantasy. And now all of a sudden you have to take Drake London in round 2. I mean, Drake London falls to pick 20 in this draft, but this is further than Drake London pretty much ever falls. Like usually Drake London in underdog drafts going at the beginning of round 2. And even in your redraft leagues, he's going in round 2 at the very latest round 3. So it's crazy to see a player go from being so bad in fantasy to so expensive. And the initial gut reaction is I can't understand how anybody could do that. But to be fair to Drake London, he was an elite prospect coming out of USC. Drake London, just in case you don't know, at 18 years old, played on the same roster that Amon-Ra St. Brown did as a sophomore, that Michael Pittman Jr. did as a senior, and Drake London was the wide receiver 1. Actually, I don't want to say Drake London was the wide receiver 1. London had a very large workload, and London broke out at 18. And then the next year as a sophomore, Drake London was more productive than Amon-Ra St. Brown on that same team. He goes top 10 picks of the NFL draft. His market share numbers in Atlanta are preposterous. The man is just a black hole for targets. And now you get what should be a massive efficiency bump with the overall offense. So you look at all those factors and you assume, okay, London's in a spot to crush. We're going to take Hollywood as our last wide receiver. You need a massive discount on Hollywood if you're going to draft him in the eliminator, but I think we possibly are getting that. But anyway, I think London's a phenomenal player. All the metrics say that he is. The efficiency should go dramatically up for the overall Atlanta Falcons offense. With that being said, it's priced in a way that London has to get significantly better, or things are going to look extremely ugly. So I don't have a super hot take with Drake London. I don't really know what to expect. I would love to come out here and tell you, oh, everybody drafting Drake London's an idiot. Or, oh, everybody fading Drake London's an idiot. In reality, I think that there are pros and cons. I've been drafting him when he falls. I'm never reaching on him at ADP. Burrow off the board at pick 85. I am not going Ferguson here. So let's see what this team does. This team goes Curtis Samuel. Looking at the way that buys line up, Jalen Warren, DeAndre Swift, both fine options for us. I think we are going to go Swift, needing some production at the beginning of the year, and hopefully just assuming that Swift has a baseline level of floor. I mean, baseline level of touches, giving him a decent floor for the Eliminator tournament. But Miggy says 12-team PPR. Quarterback, we have Kyler Kirk. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, DK, Evans, Judy, Palmer, Dotson. Running back, we have Kyron, Montgomery, Algier, Brian, Robinson, Chandler. Tight end, we have McBride. Any suggestions and any moves to make? Okay. Elite tight end stacked with Kyler. Wide receiver 1, running back 1. I don't have any moves to make right now. It looks like a very well-balanced roster. It looks like a strong team as well. I will say if Montgomery starts strong, maybe the Jahmyr Gibbs hamstring injury limits Gibbs a little bit at the beginning of the year. Since it's a full PPR format, I wouldn't mind to see if we can make a 2-for-1 deal with one of the depth receivers and David Montgomery to go get an upgrade that way. But I wouldn't do that right now until, potentially we get Montgomery big red zone week, or maybe Montgomery gets 2 touchdowns at the beginning of the year. But yeah, a great team for now. Jeep Guy says, outlook on JSN for the year. Second-year receiver who's now healthy with a better coaching staff. Top of a stacked wide receiver room in college. Yeah, so similar to Drake London, you can say that JSN had the same team as Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave at a younger age. And Jackson Smith and Jigba was the most productive wide receiver in said offense. Now, if you look at what JSN did as a rookie, however, the historical data is not on his side. And it does look a little more likely that it's not happening with JSN. At his price, I'm completely fine taking him with where he's going at like wide receiver 40-something. But if you look at the historical comps at 21 years old, you have some good guys like DJ Moore was on this list. But Kenny Britt, George Pickens, Rondale Moore, Robert Woods, Jalen Reagor. Really, I think what you're hoping for is JSN to go down like a Pickens path. And I know we're expecting this to be a better passing environment under the new coaching staff, but I don't know. I don't know if we can say it's for sure happening. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Dat goes at 98. Joe Schmo says, Hopkins isn't injured. He's sitting out of camp due to his short steroid cycle. Here's something that I want to ask y'all. And if I'm letting you know right now, I have no idea. I'm an idiot. Obviously, I'm asking for your opinion because I fully acknowledge how dumb I am and that I don't know. But all of these guys, if they are the cream of the crop, have so much to gain where you're seeing $100 million contracts get signed. It's based off of pure athleticism. And if you look at it, it's a numbers game. Every NFL team, if you include practice squads, say you have 100 players per NFL roster really trying to make it. 32 rosters, you have about 3,000 players really trying to make it in the league. And how many guys get busted for steroids and suspended every year? 0, 1, maybe 2. Like the guys I can think of, DeAndre Hopkins, Julian Edelman. Very rarely does it ever happen. How many of these guys are on gear? How many of these guys are taking roids? Is I would just think it's a numbers game. If there are 3,000 players trying to make it, I would assume that 1% of them get popped every year? We get a list of 30 guys that are suspended or 30 guys banned from the league taking steroids. And we get a total of 1 every few years out of like 3,000. Where they're highly incentivized to go through and do something reckless like that. Okay. So Brock Bowers off the board, 105. I think we're going to go ahead. We will take David Njoku here, 106. Brian Robinson would have been the pick for us if we didn't want to just, if we weren't just trying to avoid continuously loading up on the week 14 bye, but we'll see. Dennis says a lot are on gear. The thing is, if a lot are on gear, where do you draw the line? It's like if a lot are, then for you to not be, obviously if you're a quarterback, I mean, if you're Tom Brady, it is what it is. But if you're like an offensive lineman, I'm not saying just the guys that have like bulging shoulders, you know. I'm saying the guys that are 350 pounds. Okay. But Purdy goes 108, Shakir 109. Singletary goes. So we are going to go ahead. We will take Brian Robinson now that he falls to us at 111. While we are dealing with two receivers with the week 14 bye, Brian Robinson will be the first running back that we are drafting that has to deal with it. And yeah, now obviously we're going to be hunting quarterback production later on. It is nice that we get clarity with the Minnesota guys. You pretty much understand now we get an extra starting quarterback that you can take in the player pool with Sam Darnold. But regardless of all of that, wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin, Hollywood Brown. Running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, and tight end, we have David Njoku. Rob Touchdownsky says, how do you feel about stacking Anthony Richardson and Taylor in redraft versus best ball? Don't love it in best ball because Taylor's not going to catch the ball a ton, but in your redraft league, if you think that the Colts offense crushes, I think you can go for it. Let's smooth this over. And of course, if y'all want another draft after this, if we hit 600 likes on this live stream, we'll fire up another draft after this one. And I'll just have y'all vote on what y'all want, whether it's a $100 draft, whether it's a $25 draft, just whatever y'all want. Augusta says vets know when to ease up on it. My thing is just like, what if it's a numbers game and you have 3,000 people trying to make it in the league? Obviously, from guys just trying to make it on a roster to guys that are trying to be the very, very best, I would assume 1%, you know. So if they were actually testing and they actually cared. Caesar says, Mason, what team that's projected to be outside the top 10 are you betting could be a top 5 offense? So I'll pull up. I'm not going to just look at over-unders here in terms of win totals. I'm going to look at the actual sports books projecting out what you have with implied team total. So right now, the top 10 offenses, according to sports books and total points scored, are the Niners, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Ravens. I don't know if we already said them. Let me just go back from the top. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Niners, Lions, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Packers. The guys immediately after: Houston, the Rams, the Jets, Atlanta, Chicago, Jacksonville, Indy, Cleveland. If I had to pick one of those offenses to be in the top 5, I think the easy pick is Houston. If you wanted a little more of a dark horse, maybe Jacksonville would be my dark horse. Okay. Now let's smooth this over. Things are getting ugly, 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 ugly. Ugly, 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 ladies and gentlemen. This is not good. No bueno. No bueno for your boy. I'm getting nervous. Tyler Lockett, phenomenal value, but I don't even know if we can take another receiver. If I knew Lockett would have been available here, there's just no way in hell I would have taken Amari Cooper where we did. Oh, dear God. This was like worst case scenario for us. We're going to take Trey Benson. Benson is a horrendous pick in this format because you're not going to be getting much at the beginning of the year. You're typically banking on the production that he would give you and the upside he would give you at the end of the season, which in Best Ball Mania, points in weeks 15, 16, 17 matter so much in this format. Points at the beginning of the year matter just as much as points at the end of the season. But with all that being said, we need a running back. The next best quarterback had an ADP of 142. It's a tough spot to be in. And now pick 135. I think we are going to go ahead and I think we're done drafting wide receiver in this draft, to be honest with you. When we have Wilson, Diggs, Amari, Terry, Godwin, Hollywood, and an eliminator, I think we're done, especially in a smaller field contest. We either go Charbonnet or Herbert. I think we go ahead and we take Justin Herbert. You kind of need quarterback points here. In an eliminator contest, stacking, at least in the big eliminator, stacking will matter in terms of the regular eliminator to a small degree, just because it's still a large week 17 player pool. You don't want to go overboard with it, but maybe you want one stack. But here's, I would actively avoid stacking just because it's not about correlating your lineup. You don't want a wide range of outcomes. You don't want to be either the first team or the last team. That's the exact opposite. You know, like in fantasy football where I typically say, give me anywhere but sixth place. Here, this is where you want sixth place. Okay. Oh, Tyler, I didn't even see that Pete's video was out. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Yes, we went over, recorded a video with Pete. My first time recording video with Pete, someone that's much smarter than I am. So Pete Overzet, if y'all want to look up the video. Okay. Stafford goes 145. Jack says my dark horse for top 5 offense is the Commanders. Yeah, I just have no, I don't know if I have any hope with the Commanders, to be honest. I don't want to say no hope. That's a horrible choice of words. To be a top 5 offense, I think is extremely aggressive to project that out. Extremely aggressive. Okay. So if we're looking at tight ends that are going to make it back around to us to pick 154, we are just QB, running back, tight end, of course. Tight ends, you could see Kmet and Musgrave make it. Musgrave lines up the same bye week as David Njoku. Probably not super exciting for us. Kmet's been a big-time follower in drafts as of late due to the Gerald Everett usage in Chicago. Jaleel McLaughlin, Marshawn Lloyd. Either of those guys are super exciting. We could go ahead and we could take Rodgers, but like we discussed, I'm not a big fan of grabbing stacks here. We do have Garrett Wilson as a round 1 pick, but it's not like we have a ton of week 12 buy options. Jaleel goes 152. Komet goes, dear freaking God, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I think we probably go ahead and we take Rodgers. We just lock in some points. I don't love this stack with Wilson. Like I said, though, we do have only 2 guys out on the week 12 bye. And if we're looking at Luke Musgrave, I don't necessarily want to take Musgrave as our second tight ends, have him paired up with Njoku. We're definitely going to take 3 tight ends regardless, but still, I just don't think it's ideal. Marshawn Lloyd dealing with his own injury. Also, rookie running back, we don't necessarily expect to be hyper-productive at the beginning of the year anyway. Sticky Ricky goes 157. Dear God, what are we doing here? I think I'm not going to say it till this team picks, but based off this range just being so gross and such a flat tier throughout, I think we just go ahead and grab a quarterback. I was hoping we were going to get Baker. Baker going. I think we're just going to go ahead and take Geno Smith. Yeah, we'll miss out on Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, we'll miss out on Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Tyler Conk. I really don't care, to be honest. We'll get our third quarterback that we can comfortably project for this season. Just lock in QB points. Like I said, this is the big eliminator. Very much different than Best Ball Mania. So let's go ahead and let's take him. Okay. So now wide receiver, we have Wilson, Diggs, Amari, McLaurin, Godwin, Hollywood. Running back, we have Gibbs, Swift, Brian Robinson, Benson. Tight end, we have Njoku. Quarterback, we have Herbert, Rodgers, Geno. For sure was not the plan at quarterback. The issue is the big-time fallers in this draft were wide receiver. And specifically in the eliminator, when we go through the first 7 rounds, taking 6 wide receivers through the first 7, it does put us in a position where we can't take the following values at wide receiver a little later on, specifically in this tournament structure. Some of these running backs that were making it to us were just not really the profiles that we are wanting to go after either. So it's not the easiest spot at all. Not the easiest spot at all. Okay. Let's see. Colby says, hey, Mason, first time in a high-stakes draft. What do you think of the team at 11? Okay, let's go ahead and let's check out the team, my guy. Thank you for hopping into draft with us. So going Harrison, round 1, specifically in the eliminator, I'm not a big Harrison guy. I could see the argument for Harrison in BBM, given the fact that we are trying to optimize for the final 3 weeks, of course. But here, I'm just not going that direction a ton. But it is a unique combo going Harrison, Debo. I mean, the first 4 rounds, I think, are drafted really nicely for a Best Ball Mania team. It's just not necessarily something that I really like in the eliminator. But then we go Keenan, Kenneth Walker, Madre. I like those 2 selections. Yeah, it looks like we are going after stacks here, like Curtis Samuel, pairing him up with, like, taking Curtis here over some of the other wide receivers. I think it's a fine team, a well-balanced roster. And if it was a Best Ball Mania squad or just a typical underdog draft, I think I'd really, really like it. It's just personally probably not the way that I'm attacking this style draft. Okay. Okay, Demario Douglas off the board at 169. So, yeah, this is the issue that we've had in this draft. You look at the best available wide receivers every time we've pulled up the board. They are at the top of the draft board. There's really nobody else. So we can no longer take quarterback either when we have Herbert, Rodgers, Geno. So we are pivoting over to running back, tight end here. So we are 178, 183. Jack says, I ran my first marathon in July. Now I'm starting to train for my first half Ironman. Gonna do a full one, but any advice for a novice swimmer? Hell yes, my guy. I was right there with you. I knew nothing about swimming before I decided to do the Ironman. So my initial gut reaction when I was thinking, oh, you're going to have to do an Ironman. I don't know if you're going to swim yours in the ocean. I don't know if you're going to swim in a lake, whatever. Like open water swim, I thought I was going to have to do like a lot of training in open water swim. Most of the people training swim just in a pool. You just swim in a regular lap pool. It's the easiest way. You're not going to get sick. You're going to be safe. I would just do 90% of your swimming in the lap pool, 10% of your swimming in the open water, just so you're okay and you can do it. And then same thing with the bike. I personally did 90% of my bike training on the bike trainer and only like 10% of it outside. It's just so much easier where if you're biking around outside, depending on where you live, a lot of times the roads are crappy. You're going to get flat tires. You're going to have to stop at lights. You're going to have to watch out for cars. I'm terrified I'm going to get by a car the entire time. Whereas if you're just in the trainer, you can just pedal away on Swift or just any biking app that you have. And so you can get your heart rate up and really train that way. Yeah, definitely something I didn't know before was you can take advantage of, you don't have to go outside. But anyway, Braylon Allen, we don't have a Week 12 bye. Rookie running back, a little less exciting. In terms of the other guys that I'd be looking at here, I don't necessarily know how excited we are about them. We already have a bunch of Jets. We may take Isaiah Likely here. How bad is the Likely pick? And also, if you look up Mason Dodd on YouTube, if you are interested at all, my guy, and watching, I put out a bunch of my Ironman training vlogs on a YouTube channel just called Mason Dodd. And you can just see like some of what my average days were with workouts. Okay, so Braylon Allen goes 179, Burden 180, Jalen Tolbert goes 181. So how many Week 14 buys? We have Week 14 is a bigger issue for us than Week 12. We probably made a wrong choice there because now we can't take Dameon Pierce. Vidal's not in play for us. We could go Jonnu. We're going to take Jonnu and then go running back in the last 2 rounds. Running back. Filet-O-Fish says, was the Ironman biking street biking where you're on dirt trails? Yeah, triathlon bike, you can't bike on dirt trails. It's all in the street, my guy. My thing will pop immediately. But Chromatic Man says, man, I'm going to be tired of work tomorrow, boys. I am as well. My girlfriend is probably not going to be the happiest camper with me that I streamed this late, but we'll probably call it here. Tomorrow's probably going to be a super big stream because we'll have the Flock tournament dropping tomorrow. I think it'll be the Flock Tourney 5 on Underdog tomorrow. So we're probably going to call this stream here. It's almost 1 a.m. where I'm at. It's almost 2 a.m. on the East Coast. But we're going to go running back to end this team. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate you. Really hope that you're able to go to bed after this. Definitely try to read a little bit before bed. It's easier for me to fall asleep that way. But anyway, yeah, if you want to get in a draft with us, I'm doing this every single night. Underdog Fantasy, by far and away my favorite place to play. If you use code FLOCK on Underdog as well, you'll get my 2024 rankings, 2024 draft guide, 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, all 3 of which will be updated and emailed to you every Sunday until the season starts. You can find the link to that in the description, live chat, comment section. They're best ball drafts to no time commitment at all during the year. So I draft hundreds of teams every year. So I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And also, if you use code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 and a Christian McCaffrey special pick 'em more than less than half a total yard. You do need to be in one of these states, though, if you want to draft on Underdog. But I think that's all I got for you. Much love, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. And really hope I get to draft with you tomorrow night.